Welcome, 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 everybody. This is the Appraiser Coach podcast. Hello, hello. My name is Dustin Harris, and we are sponsored today by Alamode. Alamode is offering a free 15-day trial. You can try out their products at alamode.com/free trial. We're also sponsored by Working RE. Folks, if you've not been to Working RE online, you need to check them out right now. That's Working RE, as in real estate, workingre.com. And finally, we are sponsored by DATAMASTer. Write this down, folks, datamasterfreetrial.com/coach. Once again, datamasterfreetrial.com/coach for your free 2-week trial of great software that will allow you to be more efficient and more effective. Speaking of being more efficient and more effective, I've had several individuals reach out to me over the last several months and talk to me about virtual assistants and getting help that may not be in-office help, but maybe overseas, maybe locally here in the States, maybe across town. I think those probably all fit into the VA or virtual assistant. By the way, I'll be using those terms interchangeably today. So VA meaning virtual assistant. We're also going to be talking a little bit about virtual contractors, and we'll get into what the difference is there and what that means. But I want to welcome to the program for a second time Mr. Roy Meyer. Roy, welcome back.
Great, thanks for having me, Dustin. Looking forward to today.
Well, you are an expert in this field for sure. I would definitely. I think that I'm not being brave, but being very honest and saying you are the expert in the virtual assistant world when it comes to appraisers and probably even real estate agents. So I appreciate you joining me today. You know, when people reach out to me and they say, hey, Dustin, tell me more about VAs, I usually always point them towards Roy because Roy is the expert. He's the guy that can teach you the inside and out of this type of thing. But before we get too far into this, I want to remind everybody that you were on the program back in June of last year. I think it was episode number 32. And Roy, if you don't mind just giving us a recap there, we had talked a little bit, I think, there about non-lender work. You have quite an interesting and unique business setup there that most of your business is actually non-lender work, not AMC work, correct?
Absolutely. Matter of fact, Dustin, I can't even imagine going back to primarily doing lending work again. It would be really difficult.
Sure. You've tasted the nugget. I haven't yet, so that's why I guess I'm still in the AMC world, which I love, by the way, and I'm not shy about that. I figured out a model that works well with AMCs, and so I love doing that and teaching other appraisers how to do that. But there are times when I do get a little bit jealous of your business model, Roy.
Well, it's out there, but you do a great service here, Dustin. I appreciate it.
Well, let's talk a little bit about virtual assistants. You've kind of been in this VA field for quite a few years, and I know that this is of interest to appraisers, but it's a bit of a hard to grasp the pot at the end of the rainbow type of issue, because I think a lot of appraisers like the idea of being able to outsource, but they're not quite sure how to go about it. They just don't know much about it. So let's just start at the basic level, if you don't mind, Roy. Talk to us about, for my listeners that really don't know much about VAs, they haven't really heard the term, what is outsourcing, first of all?
Yeah, it really is misunderstood, Dustin, and it's nothing other than the practice of having certain jobs or functions or tasks done outside of your company instead of doing them in-house. And you and I, Dustin, we've had a lot of conversations over the years, and one of the most important things, or one of the important things I think for appraisers to first determine is what is their time worth? What's the value of your time? And then you can apply that towards, as you bring on virtual assistants or virtual contractors, which we're going to talk about, then you can help to increase the value of your time. So, I have a kind of a philosophy, Dustin, in that I believe anything that you can outsource for less than the value of your time should be outsourced.
Yep, I'm the same way.
And unfortunately, most appraisers today are spending way too much time on the MWAs or the minimum wage activities instead of the IGAs or the income generating activities. So, but it's really nothing other than outsourcing, different jobs or function or tasks, that you don't want to do in house. Okay,
good. Yeah. So this is something that I've been talking about for years and years and years, and I know that you have as well. That you take what you make per hour, and any appraiser can figure this out. Most of them don't. They don't even take the time to figure out how much they make per hour. But you need to know the answer to that, first of all, listeners, is what is your time worth? In other words, what do you make per hour when you're working? And anything, as Roy said, anything that you can then delegate to someone else, whether it be inside your office or outside your office. We're still talking about the law of delegation here. You need to look at that. Now, I think there has to be a balance as well. You can outsource really almost everything, and then you end up with, okay, do we still have an income generating stream here that's still profitable? But I hear what you're saying, and I think that the pendulum is way too far to the other side, that appraisers are trying to do too much of this on their own. But you say there's kind of a difference between maybe law of delegation within your business and then law of delegation with the outsourcing. When we say outsourcing, are you talking overseas? Are you talking just outside the office? What exactly do we mean by that?
Well, it's funny, Dustin, because really most of your listeners and most of the appraisers out there are probably already experts at outsourcing. We don't do our own dry cleaning. We don't do our own plumbing repair. We don't deliver our own pizzas. Those are all things that we outsource right. on a daily basis. So really, it's just delegating different tasks. Now, it could be overseas, it could be locally. And to give you for instance, I do have a team in India that I use. I have a full team in the Philippines, but I also outsource locally. I have a transcriptionist I use in Las Vegas. I have a social media manager that works out of Detroit. My office now is completely virtual. My office manager of 12 or 13 or 14 years now, I don't even know anymore, she works virtually out of her home. So in reality, she's actually a virtual assistant in my business. So, a lot of times appraisers get all confused and their minds go straight to, when they hear the word outsourcing, data entry, or they think outsourcing can only involve working with people overseas. That's simply not the case. Now, it can be, but it doesn't have to be the case. And you already have companies out there that are doing data entry. You've got website developers out there, marketing companies that do search engine optimization services. So there's a lot of things that are involved with outsourcing, but it doesn't always have to mean overseas. But that's definitely one of my wheelhouses, is working with virtual assistants overseas.
Okay, so I've got to ask the question, because the 900-pound gorilla is standing right next to me in the room here, because I know my listeners' ears, some of my listeners' ears are burning right now. When you say overseas, automatically the word that comes to their mind is unpatriotic. Can you address that?
Yeah, and thank you for doing that, because one of the pushbacks I get, Dustin, is, gosh, Roy, you're robbing or you're stealing jobs from Americans. And quite frankly, most of the time what happens is when you're delegating, you're hiring somebody overseas, quite frankly, you are doing things that you probably couldn't afford to do locally. So normally when I talk to an appraiser and I get that pushback, normally I'll ask the appraiser, how many people are you hiring right now? Normally the answer is 0.
Right.
So it's hard to argue, if you're not already providing jobs, that you're stealing them. But one of the things that I've found, Dustin, most importantly, is when you're working with people overseas and you're paying them a really good rate based on what their income is in their country, what they can do to help grow your business so that you can hire more people locally has a much greater benefit. And when I work with people in the real estate industry, most people won't hire people locally because it's very expensive. And when you can work with other people to do things in your business to help grow your business, then that helps you to hire and spend more dollars locally as well. So there's this real misconception on that. I appreciate you bringing that up, because it's simply not the case. And the other thing too, Dustin, that's really important is most appraisers are really afraid to hire locally. We all go through these cycles, in our industry. And you and I have both seen plenty of them.
Oh, yeah.
We're up and we're down. And unfortunately, most appraisers are really afraid to hire somebody on, because it can be quite an expense to bring on a full-time office manager or full-time staff. What happens when you slow down? And then you have this, this significant salary. So when you bring on somebody overseas, your pay is significantly less. To give you, for instance, my executive assistant in the Philippines, I'm paying her $3 an hour. Now, if things really slow down and you have somebody like that in your appraisal business, you can still afford to keep that person on in your business. And then in addition, the other thing that happens too is many times, you hire somebody locally and they're with you for a while, but many times they're using us for kind of a stepping stone for their own careers. And one of the things that I do love about working with, especially in the Philippines, is that you have little or no attrition. And so, my team has been with me literally forever. I think they'll probably be with me for a lifetime. So when you're working with somebody like that and you give them the opportunity to grow in your business, they're going to be very loyal. They're not entrepreneurial, and they're not looking to move on. And so there is really that misconception on the point you just brought up. So I appreciate you're talking about that.
Well, and let me clarify one thing, and then I want to ask you a follow-up question, if you don't mind. I shouldn't say clarify, maybe parrot back what you're saying, because I think it's important to make and really punctuate the point that you're trying to make, and that is, In fact, let me just give you a for instance, and tell me if this is what you mean. I'm an appraiser. I've never hired anybody before. I'm overwhelmed with work. I mean, I get this all the time. Phone calls, emails, Facebook messages, people reaching out to me and saying, Dustin, I'm turning down 4 to 5 appraisal assignments per day. I can barely keep up with things. I know I should hire, but I don't really know how to go about it. You're saying start, if you've never hired before, maybe it's a good place to start through a VA, through a virtual assistant. Maybe it's overseas. And let's just say that hiring, that individual allows you to be able to take on maybe another assignment or 2 per week that you couldn't take on otherwise. So you're making more money than you were before. But then I think what you're saying, Roy, is that then leads into, okay, well, I've still got 3 or 4 per day that I'm turning down that I could be doing if I had maybe an assistant here locally, if I had a trainee, if I hired another appraiser. In other words, is that kind of where you're getting at, where hiring overseas might lead to you being able to be productive enough to hire locally as well?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, there's so many different tasks that they can take on. And same thing for me. I would not have the number of appraisers that are working for me right now if I didn't have the help of my virtual team. Now, once again, we're talking primarily overseas, but that could be local as well. And so, one thing we talk, what's the value of your time? The other thing, that we talk about is what's the lifetime value of a new client? So when you're able to spend more time on income generating activities, what happens many times, Dustin, is we just focus on that one appraisal fee versus if we had that more time to focus on our business, what would a new client mean to our business? Yeah. What would the value of 40 extra hours a month to pursue your business or even your personal goals mean? Right. And if all your virtual assistant did was help increase your income and give you back 10 hours a week, how much would that be worth to you? And so it's exactly what you were saying there. And the other thing is that we use virtual assistants for, if all your virtual assistant did was help to bring you in 1 new non-lender client per month, what would that be worth to you? And how many more people could you hire locally to help in that? So, you're exactly right on that.
Well, and I think the other thing, and you kind of mentioned it, but kind of skirted the bushes, so I'm just going to pinpoint it, is, a lot of appraisers think that when they outsource or when they delegate to other people, that somehow the quality of their work goes in the toilet. In other words, right. If I can't do it myself, then I can't do it right. And I'll tell you what I have found, and I know you found the same thing in your business, Roy, is when you outsource that minimum wage type task. I call them tier 1 tasks. When you can outsource tier 1 tasks, even tier 2 tasks, that gives you, the appraiser, more time to focus on the tier 3 work, which is actually where the quality of the work is found anyway.
Right, and and that is something that I hear a lot about. And one of the things I really want to emphasize here too, Dustin, is we're not talking about really doing analysis or the quality of your reports or that type of thing. We're talking about different tasks that can help grow your business. I mean, doing the things like setting up an order, setting up your work file, pulling data sheets, a variety of different things. We're not talking about actually doing all the analysis in a report. So your reports can still be 100% perfect. So we're not talking about those type of tasks. The other thing to that point is many times, people in general just say, gosh, I can do better myself. But most of the time, those tasks aren't getting done. And I think it was Mark Cuban, Dustin, who said, perfection is the enemy of profitability.
Yeah, I've heard that.
And I love that because many times getting something done trumps not getting something done at all. And many times we have this perception.
Now, did you really use Mark Cuban and Trump in the same sentence?
Boy, they're good friends, aren't they?
I think so. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
But we do have that perception, that hey, we can do it better, and maybe you can, maybe you can't, on many instances. But I will also share with you, probably the majority, Dustin, of my virtual assistants are smarter than I am, and I really love leaning on their brain power because it's amazing what you can learn from them.
Well, and it's interesting to find out how much they can focus on things that you can't give a second thought to because you have other things that you're focused. I wouldn't say even more important things, just other things that you're focused on. So when you can outsource that thinking and that ability to create, I think that's a benefit as well. But I have to nail down one other thing, Roy, because I know it's again, it's going to be something that's tickling the ears of the listeners, and they're going to want to, maybe reach out with the question. You said earlier, a couple minutes ago, you said I pay my executive assistant $3 per hour. The term sweatshop comes to mind.
Yeah, and that's a misconception too, because we're not talking about the auto industry or the clothing industry or that type of thing. And when you're paying somebody in the Philippines, $3 an hour, keep in mind that's probably, I don't know exactly, but more like a $20 to $25 an hour job there.
Wow.
Many parts of the Philippines, the minimum wage is could be anywhere, plus or minus $8 a day. So that's actually a very good living for them. Now, there's other things that we do as well, Dustin. I mean, you have incentives, you have bonus structures, we have a holiday pay, they have a 13-month bonus where they get a Christmas bonus. We give them incentives each month. So that's really kind of a base pay, but that is actually a very good pay. Now, if it wasn't, I wouldn't have, my team wouldn't have been with me for so long. Right, so we treat our virtual assistants like family. I actually don't even like the word VA because it's so impersonal.
Right.
So,
and let's get into terms, if you don't mind, just a little bit, because you've used a couple different terms here, and I know that we kind of teased it a little bit at the beginning. The words virtual assistant versus virtual contractor. I'll be honest with you, I have no idea what the difference would be. Help me.
Yeah, so a virtual contractor generally is, they're normally only going to be concerned with the task at hand. They're only concerned about getting paid for that task, the one-off, job. And maybe that's building a website. Maybe that's putting a video together. Maybe that's hiring somebody to pull you a list of 1,000 attorneys to market to. But you're just hiring them for that one task to do in your business. And you're always going to have need for that. But those are going to be a little bit more expensive because they're just short-term tasks. Right. Whereas a virtual assistant, those are typically full-time employees you're going to bring on, and they have a vested interest in your business. The more they can help you succeed, the greater chance them to have long-term or even lifetime employment. The more money you make, the more money they have the opportunity to make, and they're unbelievably affordable, low attrition rate. And so that's kind of the difference. The virtual contractors would be like going to a site like Upwork or Freelancer or Guru or Fiverr, those types of sites where a virtual assistant, you are actually bringing on somebody to work in your business, to be part of your team, to grow with your business as well.
Okay, so everybody doesn't have to rewind the podcast. Can you give those, you threw out a couple websites that I think are important for people to write down.
My favorite two virtual contractor sites, Dustin, are Upwork, formerly Elance and Odesk, upwork.com. I have used that site hundreds of times for hundreds of tasks. Another one is freelancer.com. Another one is guru.com. And then if you're not familiar with Fiverr, which I know you are, Dustin.
Oh, yeah, I love
Fiverr is one of my all-time favorite outsourcing sites. You want to learn how to market your business, just go to Fiverr. It's free to set up an account, fiverr.com. And you can go in there. You can have people do copy, graphics, logos, videos, you name it. But those are virtual contracting type sites.
Okay. Let's say that several of my listeners right now are sold, okay? I'm out here driving to my appointments. I'm listening to the Appraiser Coach podcast. I'm listening to Dustin interview Roy, and I'll tell you, man, this guy seems to have it together. This guy seems to understand things. I am sold. I understand the law of delegation. I'm ready to move forward in my business. I'm tired of watching all of those orders, slip through my fingers because I just don't have the time or the energy or the ability to be able to take on that much work. Tell us more about what this looks like for the average appraiser. How can they use virtual contractors, virtual assistants to help streamline their business?
Well, I'll give you, for instance, we just went into Upwork and we went in and posted a job. We needed somebody to write some copy for a new website we're doing.
Okay.
So we went into Upwork. We posted a job, which is free to do, by the way. You have people from all over the world bidding on that job, including the States. You can see their track record, what they've earned, their portfolio. And we hired somebody on Upwork who is going to write all of the copy or the wording for each of the pages on this new website. And they were basically $12 a page.
Okay,
which is, as you know, is phenomenally cheap. And they're experts at doing that. So that's an example of something there.
Let me interrupt you just really quick, Roy, because I think some people would say, okay, you're telling me I'm going to hire somebody in the Philippines or I'm going to hire somebody in South America, and they're going to write copy that I'm going to put on a website. I've dealt enough with people overseas that I know there's no way they're going to do that and do it right.
Well, now I'm talking about doing that on Upwork, though. That was somebody we found in the States for $12 a page.
Okay. Oh, interesting.
So, Upwork, you're going to have people from all over the world, including the States, bidding on your job.
Okay.
So just so everybody's clear on that, and thanks for bringing that up. So when you're talking about virtual contracting sites, those could be people from all over the world that are bidding on that particular job.
Well, but I also think that, there's some fear when people outsource, especially when we're talking about overseas, that, the that's an issue. The English, even if they're in an English-speaking country, even if they learned English in school, which I know a lot of them do, is it really good enough that I can utilize them in my business, at least for communicative tasks?
Yeah, and a lot of people fear that, Dustin, but I can tell you one thing about the Philippines, which is great, is they grow up learning English. They learn English, from starting right at grade school. So they're speaking American English for the most part. And my number one hiring factor is how good their English is. If I was to bring on two particular my VAs, you may or may not know they're from the Philippines. Oftentimes when I speak at events, I actually bring my VAs on live, many times via Skype, to talk to whatever groups I'm in front of.
That's cool.
And most of the time, by the time I'm done, everybody's raising their hand going, how do I get started?
I want that guy, right?
Yeah, and depending where you're at, we're in California, but a lot of places across the country, you also have very diverse cultures as well. But I will tell you, for me, the number one factor when I hire somebody or the appraisers we work with, the number one factor is communication and English, and they speak phenomenal English. So that's a concern you really don't have to be afraid of.
Okay, Roy, but I'm no spring chicken, and I happen to know that the Philippines are in a little bit of a different time zone than I am.
Yeah.
Deal with that.
Yes. So it really, Dustin, depends on now for, typically where you're at. For me in California, we're 15 hours behind. So, it depends on the tasks you're going to have them do. So you could, normally with the appraisers we work with, they will work either flex schedules where they may work graveyard if you need them to. Most of my virtual assistants work on their time frame. And one of the things I love, Dustin, is that I can send them a variety of tasks that need to be done for my business. And when I wake up in the morning, all of those tasks are done and waiting for me on my desk.
Nice.
And so, but you have that flexibility where you can have them work your schedule, their schedule, kind of a flex schedule in between. I mean, it's really easy to kind of work around that.
Okay. And I'm really annoying this way. I interrupted you earlier. You talked about hiring somebody to do copy for a website, but I think you were going to share maybe one or two other examples of being able to hire a virtual assistant or a virtual contractor to help. In other words, I guess I'm looking at it through the eyes of my listener and trying to understand, hey, I'm ready to move forward. I want to know more about this, but really, what can I have these guys do?
Well, to give you, for instance, Dustin, just what my virtual assistant, my team does for me. Set up orders, daily admin tasks, schedule appointments, email management, bookkeeping, tax records. They manage our Google profile, answer phones, billing, collections, manage our email our contact management system, autoresponders, list building, search engine optimization on our websites, competitor research. We always want to know what our competitors are doing, data entry, relationship management, website design management, signing up with online directories, signing up with clients, scraping networking events that are going on in the area for me to show up so I can go there and market our business. They handle my travel arrangements, data mining, lead generation, online, offline marketing, web design management, blogging, article writing, content creation, distributing videos. I have a full-time video editor. It's $3.10 an hour. All he does is market our business using video. YouTube video marketing, direct mail, lead generation, Craigslist posting, transcription, graphics, logos, market research, general research, social media marketing and management. One of the other things too.
Take a breath, Roy. Take a breath.
Yeah, one of the other. I get really excited about this. But one of the things that's really cool, Dustin, that I love doing is many times you and I both get privy to a lot of shiny objects out there and a lot of great new softwares and a lot of great new technologies, and I don't always have the time or most of the time to learn them.
Right.
And one of the things I love doing is handing it off to my VA to learn. And I'll say, hey, gosh, this looks like might be a great software or strategy to use in our business. I need you to go in and learn it and give me the cliff notes to see if that's something we use in our business.
Nice.
And one of the other things to that point is many times appraisers like, well, how do I teach something that even I don't know how to do? And if you get a really good general virtual assistant in your business, you can have them learn it for you. And there's so much training out there already on Google or Udemy or lynda.com or YouTube, or you can buy a course in something. Like we just purchased this really cool new Facebook marketing course that I'm having our team go through. So you can actually have them learn to do things for you in your business. So once again, these are all things that many times as appraisers, we don't have time to do ourselves.
Roy, I tell you, man, this is exciting to me, and I know it's going to be exciting to the listeners. The ability to do more with less, I think, is what we're all about. Speaking of doing more with less, folks, we're talking about law of delegation today. But the other thing that I talk a lot about, and I know Roy is big on this as well, is technology. Folks, where are you with your technology? Are you allowing technology to work for you, or are you working for technology? Let me give you a couple of for instances. DATAMASTer. DATAMASTer is the ability to be able to take what you would normally have to hand type and put that directly into your report. You either, folks, are going to be doing that yourself, or you're going to have someone else do that for you, unless you have DATAMASTer. DATAMASTer takes your tax records, takes your subject information, takes the comps, takes your MC sheet, and imports them directly into whatever software that you are using. If you're not familiar with DATAMASTer, folks, check them out right now at datamasterfreetrial.com/coach. I know it's kind of long, so write it down. It's very important that you go to datamasterfreetrial.com/coach for your full 14-day free trial. Also, I've been with Alamode for over 20 years. There's a reason I'm with Alamode. There's a reason that they are the leader in the appraisal software industry. Alamode gets appraisers. Alamode is constantly working to improve their product so that you can do more with less, so that you can work smarter rather than harder. It's not just a cliche. Alamode helps you to do it. And right now, you can try them for 15 days. Let's say you're with one of these other software groups. Folks, there's great software out there. I'm very good friends with George Opaka, with Wayne Pugh, with Jeff Bradford, and with others. These are great guys running great companies with great software. But I'll tell you, you need to check out Alamode and find out why they are the leader in the industry. Alamode.com/free trial. That's Alamode.com/free trial. And then once you check them out for $349 per year for the next 10 years, you are price guaranteed. Your price will not rise above $349 per year. Check them out. Again, Alamode.com/free trial. Folks, we're also sponsored by Working RE Magazine. If you've not been to their website recently, you need to check it out. Hopefully, you're signed up for their free emails, maybe a couple times a week. It's definitely not overwhelming. I get an email in my inbox that tells me something about what's going on in the appraisal profession. I'm always excited to click on those articles and find out what's happening. David and Isaac are great at understanding the industry, understanding the profession, understanding where appraisers are going, where appraisals are going. Check them out right now online, workingre.com, and hopefully you're also getting their free and quarterly magazine, which also has up-to-date information. Again, workingre.com is where you need to be if you want to know what's going on in the appraisal profession. And welcome back, folks. We are joined today by Mr. Roy Meyer, friend of mine for many years. Roy, appreciate you taking the time. I know you're a busy guy. You're traveling all over the place, including the Philippines and overseas, and I appreciate you taking some time today.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Well, folks, we're talking about virtual assistants, virtual contractors. It's a topic that comes up quite often. I get questions quite often about this, and I'm glad to have the expert on with me. Roy, you've been using virtual assistants for how many years now?
Gosh, it's probably been, over 15 years, Dustin. It's I started way back when using them in my real estate investing business years and years ago.
Okay. And I know that you're using them quite heavily now. One question I wanted to kind of return to a little bit is the English thing, because you talked about in that long list of things that you can have a virtual assistants do. You mentioned setting appointments, and I know we talked a little bit about the English thing. Be realistic with me. How realistic is it for me to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to hire somebody that can call people during my time zone, during my business hours, and I don't want them to know that they're calling from the Philippines. First, technology, address that. Is that available to be able to, the caller ID and all of that jazz? Second, can I trust that I can find somebody that speaks well enough English that I'm not going to get some pushback on my business?
Yeah, so without question, it's absolutely possible. And the reason I can say that is we've helped a number of appraisers already to do exactly just that. And we've already been doing this, and we see it. I work with a lot of clients on that. I speak with different VAs, on a regular basis every week. We have a really good source for the VAs that we work with. I'm back there a lot. I actually even partner on a VA training center back there. I speak back in the Philippines. I train virtual assistants in the Philippines how to work with U.S. employers, and I can tell you their English is incredible. And if it's somebody that it depends on the tasks they're going to do. And so if you need somebody who's going to be speaking with clients, then you want somebody who's English who is a 10. And I can tell you also, Dustin, there's many of the virtual assistants that we interview and work with that actually teach English.
Okay, awesome.
So,
Okay.
very, very possible.
Okay, good. So let's say I want to get into this. Let's say I've never done it before, or maybe I did it and didn't have such a great experience. What would you maybe give us as some things that an appraiser needs to be aware of?
Yeah, so a couple things just on that real fast, Dustin. There are people, there have been appraisers who have failed, or it didn't. And when I say fail, it didn't work. I don't like to use the word fail, because when something doesn't work out, we need to learn forward.
Sure.
And many times, especially in the virtual assistant world, there's a good chance your first VA may not work. But if that first VA doesn't work, we also need to normally point that thumb back at us and say, okay, where did we fall short? Did I maybe not do a great job screening or hiring or managing or motivating? So we really need to look at ourselves too in that process. So, but if the first VA doesn't work out, we don't want to give up on it, and we want to make sure that we learn forward. And I'm sorry, Dustin, refresh your question.
Well, I'm just curious as to as what appraiser, especially a newbie, what they need to be aware of when they get into this. In other words, whether or not they tried it or not, I don't want to reinvent the wheel here. Yeah.
So a couple things that's really important before you get started. For one, you want to make sure you are ready. So you don't want to just go hire somebody and then you're not ready to bring them on. So one of the most important things you can do is say, okay, what do I need them to do? Don't expect them to come in and be Superman or Superwoman. You want to pick one or two things. What are those one or two things that they can focus on in my business? Also, you don't want to expect them to come in and be the CEO of your business. So I see that all too often where somebody hires a virtual assistant and they think they're going to come in and know how to run and manage their business. That's not going to happen.
Okay.
So you want to be ready. You want to make sure you know what they're going to do in your business. It also helps to kind of familiarize yourself a little bit with their customs. One of the big things, Dustin, in the Philippines is that relationships are everything. And so when you're bringing somebody on, you want to make sure that they're going to feel like they're part of your team, and that they're not just a robot on the other side of the world. And that's really, really critical when you bring somebody on board. And then the other thing too is when you're hiring somebody or bringing a VA on your business, it's not that different than hiring somebody local. You still need to do all your due diligence. You need to check references. You need to interview them properly. Make sure you're following up with everything. So I go through pretty much the same process, even if they were going to come and work in my office here. And that's the biggest thing where most people fail with outsourcing, is really on that initial interview and screening process when they bring somebody on.
Okay. So once you go through that process, once you've decided to hire, you take your advice and you get the right person. Give us maybe, if you don't mind, Roy, maybe 2 or 3 helpful tips or tricks once that person's hired, in order to keep them efficient, in order to keep them on board, and in order to keep them loyal to you long term.
So to keep them, a couple things. One, what's really important, once again, is when they come on board, make sure you come off like you're excited to work with them. They've gone through the process, generally sound excited. Hey, we're excited. You went through the process. You get to work on our team. We're looking forward to really a long-term relationship. The other thing is that I always recommend too, Dustin, that really helps to make them feel like they're part of your team, is have a call with them once a month with your team, even if it's just you. Once a month, have a strategy call. Say, okay, these are the goals we met. This is what we're going to be doing. This is what didn't work so well. So they feel like they're part of your team. The other thing that really helps to motivate them too is money. And so if you can set up, you see, no different there than here. So one of the things that's really great that we recommend doing is setting up some kind of a bonus structure. So things that they can work forward in doing. And, let them know how your business is doing. Let them know what their part in your business is, so that they really feel like they're part of what you're doing. The other thing that I love doing, Dustin, when somebody comes on board, is I want to know about their family. Tell me, when's your birthdays? When are your daughter? When are your do you have kids? Hey, great. When are their birthdays? And for us, what we do every single time is on the date of their birthdays or an anniversary, we'll send them $50. That'll pay for an entire birthday party for them. So there's lots of ways that you can build your relationship with them, and little tips and tricks that you can do to keep them motivated, and that'll go a long way in them staying with you. And by far, the biggest tip I can share is, if you want to motivate them, really have them stay loyal to them, pay them on time every time.
Okay.
It's no different than us, if you're working a regular job here and you expect that check at 5 o'clock on Friday, Same thing for them. There's no better way to build trust in your relationship with them than paying them on time when they're expecting it, because they're living paycheck to paycheck there.
Okay, yeah, exactly. Yeah, nice advice. I'm going to nudge you in a little bit different direction, and it's something you and I have talked about before, so I know you have some feelings on this. I know appraisers, they maybe not want to jump into this, full throttle. Maybe they want to dip their toe in the water, and so they might think, I'll just hire somebody part-time. What's your advice on that?
There's you hear different people teach different things on that, Dustin, and for me, I always recommend if you're going to hire a virtual assistant, you want to hire them full-time. If you're going to hire somebody part-time, then hire a virtual contractor. But the reason you want to hire a virtual assistant full-time, in my eyes, is, for one, I want them dedicated to me. I want them dependent on me. Many times, if you're only hiring them part-time, you may lose them down the road. So if you spend all this time training, they could be working for somebody else who might hire them full-time down the road. If somebody's only working part-time for you, they may already have another part-time job, and they're not dependent on you.
Gotcha.
So when I bring somebody on, I make sure that they don't have another job, that they're going to be dependent on me, and they know they can depend on me, because I don't want to take the chance of losing them.
Right. Okay, good. Roy, I think you've sold many people. They're ready to move forward. Where would you suggest somebody starts? I know you've thrown out a few websites, but I know that you've got some training materials and stuff out there as well that might be a good place to start.
Yeah, it definitely has some places where they can start. And just, for Dustin, for me, just because I really want to share, I've seen probably a lot more appraisers than everybody realizes be so successful bringing on virtual assistants in their business. And it literally is not only a business changer, it's a life changer.
Yeah.
And the appraisers that we've worked with and I know that are using virtual assistants in their business, I can tell you they cannot even imagine their business without them now. And for me, it's so gratifying to see that change in their lives. So, if somebody's looking to get started, a couple of things they could do, is dip your toe and check out some of these virtual contracting sites. Just kind of see, go to Upwork and just kind of see what you could get done there. Kind of check out Fiverr, check out Freelancer, kind of, look at your business about what are some of the things that you could do in your business where you could use help. And one of the things that happens many times, Dustin, is, that only takes me a couple minutes, 3, 4, 5 minutes to do that on every report myself. And what we don't realize is those minutes add up to hours, those hours add up to days, those days add up to weeks.
You're speaking my language, buddy. Yeah,
and
exactly right.
When you look back over the course of a year, you have no idea how much time you've just lost on the other things that you could do in your life and in your business. So I didn't know if you meant in regards to also getting started. We have some things that I can work with them on as well. But, to get started, just once again, look at what are the things that you'd like to get done in your business that you're not. Look at your business, say, what are the minimum wage activities that I'm going through every day, that I'm doing in my business right now that I could hand off. And I'll give you one of the things that we do, Dustin, one other point here. There's an app that we use that we absolutely love. It's called hourstimetracking.com. And it's a great way for your listeners. It's where you can go in, you can put it on your PC or on your smart device, and you can set up folders for every single task that you're working on. And when I say every single task, I mean every single task. So at a couple clicks, you can chart very easily where your time is going. Setting up orders, drive time, analysis, putting in plat flood maps, whatever the case might be. Email management, collecting, and this will give you a really good snapshot of where you're spending your time, and then it helps you to better focus on what are some of these things now where I'm spending all this time that I could actually be delegating out.
Yep, exactly right.
As far as that goes. So just a little tip on that.
Roy, I appreciate that. How can people get a hold of you if they want to know more about virtual contractors or virtual assistants?
Really, the best way, Dustin, just send me an email to support@roymeyer.com.
Spell that.
That's support@roymeyer.com. That's really the easiest way to get a hold of me, or you can private message me on my Facebook as well. But this is something that is really a passion of mine, and I know, Dustin, even on this call, I start to talk fast and I get all excited about it, but it's really because I know the transformation that I know this can help with appraisers.
Absolutely. Roy Meyer, thanks for being a good friend. Thanks for being on here. Give out your website, your email one more time. Or if you've got a website, share that with us as well, if you don't mind.
Yeah, so it's support@roymeyer.com, or you can go to our site at appraiserinsider.com as well. We got some great information on outsourcing and virtual assistants as well.
Awesome. Roy Meyer joining us today on Virtual Assistants, Virtual Contractors. Appreciate you, buddy. Take care, and we'll talk to you soon.
Great. Thanks again, Dustin.
All right, folks, you've been listening to the Appraiser Coach Podcast. Again, my name is Dustin Harris. I'm your host. Once again, I want to thank Mr. Roy Meyer for coming on. This is an important topic that I know a lot of people have reached out to me on, and I'm glad to get some information out there that will allow you to maybe think about things a little bit differently than you have in the past. Speaking of thinking things a little bit differently than you have in the past, I want to let you know that right now I do have a coupon for my Go Create Some Value workshop. It is the online 10-hour workshop that allows you to streamline your business, to do more with less. We do talk a little bit about virtual assistants in that particular workshop. But again, the expert is Roy. But if you want to know how to streamline your business from start to finish, please go to my website, theappraisercoach.com. Click on the workshop and use the coupon code podcast to save $50. Folks, thanks for joining us. We'll catch you next time.